What's up? My name is Will Smitherman. I'm a cinematographer in the Nashville, Tennessee area, and I work a lot with different types of lenses, and each project's different, but recently I've been really into old lenses for a lot of different reasons, but I think there is a reason for every choice that you make on set, and when it comes to lenses, that is one of my personal favorite choices. You could have, you know, Arri Master Primes or Signature Primes to some of the vintage lenses that I use every day, which can be under $1,000. I wanted to make this video talking about some different options that you have. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars. You can actually buy some from eBay that are less than $1,000, even $500, and there's honestly a ton of reasons why this would be a great idea for your workflow. So I don't really think it's any secret that these lenses are becoming increasingly popular. You know, I think of The Creator, where they shot on one of the cheapest cameras, but also some vintage anamorphic primes. Those are very expensive lenses. I would love to shoot on some Kowas. I think the biggest selling point for these lenses at the end of the day comes down to the price. You have all this glass coming out from Sony and Canon that is $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, $3,000. I even think about the Canon 24-105 2.8 that just came out. Insane lens. I would love to have that lens, but it is so expensive. When it comes to these primes that I'm going to talk about, I haven't spent probably more than $300 on any of these lenses that I use literally for professional work. It kind of has at this point created more of a look that I feel is consistent for me. And I know, you know, again, there's a million different decisions for why you pick different lenses, but for me, I love the look of vintage as well. And so when thinking about those lenses from Canon and Sony that everybody raves on and on about, I think they're awesome lenses, but when it comes to the sharpness, it's kind of insane. Personally, it's a little too much for my taste. While that is a good thing to have clinically sharp images, a lot of times that's not really what I'm looking for personally. It is kind of unflattering on people. It's kind of a lot to work with. A lot of times it can look a little too doctored. I'm personally just not really a fan. So when it comes to these vintage lenses, they have a lot more of these characteristics and things that they didn't include that a lot of these camera manufacturers today did include. There's less flaring, less chromatic aberration, which is the separation of colors. It's become, I think, part of my style to see some of those characteristics of the lenses that I shoot on. And it's something that I think really makes your work kind of stand out a little bit. So when it comes to the lower end of the spectrum, some lenses that I've really enjoyed using are the Pentax Takumars. They came out around the 60s, and they have a very different coating on each of the lenses that gives each one a very different look. At the same time, they look part of a set. My 35, I think, is my favorite lens, but it literally has a radioactive coating that causes the glass to turn yellow, which is really weird. But all you have to really do is just compensate for that in your white balance. So some other ones that I've used recently, kind of on the other end of the spectrum that are a little bit more expensive. A while ago, I got the opportunity to use some Canon FDs. People say that they have the same look as the Canon K35s, which are very coveted lenses when it comes to the rental space. A little bit more recently, I had the chance to use the Nikon Nicors, and there's one lens in particular that I really enjoyed using, which was the 50mm, I think it's a 1.1 or 0.9 T-stop. I mean, wide open. The bokeh is crazy on it. It has so much character. For portraits, it looks so sick. I mean, with the 50mm that wide open, it's so shallow. And if your local rental house has it, or if you want to buy it, go ahead. It's a really sick lens. That whole set is awesome. For most of my projects, the Takomars are super solid. So to wrap it up, I would absolutely recommend going and getting some vintage lenses if you're just starting out, or if you kind of want a different look than those clinically sharp lenses that are out today, especially with sensors that are so intense and so high resolution. It makes sense to want to kind of cut that sharpness just a little bit. And I know that you can do some of this in post, like the glow filters in DaVinci Resolve or other plugins, but honestly, when it comes to your own taste and your own opinions about the way you want to shoot things, I think it makes a lot of sense to do those things in camera. It feels a lot more intentional. There's a lot more art behind that. So can't always fix everything in post. At the end of the day, I absolutely would buy these as fast as I can because I think they're only gonna get more expensive as well. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you on the next one.